I reviewed every game I've ever played on Steam. Well, kinda, let me explain. Last summer I had this crazy idea of reviewing all the games I had on Steam, but considering the size of my library and the length of my video reviews, putting all-nighters was not an ideal option. I brainstormed various alternatives on what to do, eventually reaching a good compromise. I would write a 100-word review per game every day, starting 29th of July 2025. This meant that I would only need to spend around 10 to 15 minutes a day completing this colossal task in an arc of time of… whoa, last summer was a while ago, wasn't it? Doing it this way was way more relaxing. It became some sort of a daily world to me, a game to do in the mornings or late evenings, reflecting on all the games I've played. So, after 155 days and 155 reviews, I decided to share my experience with you, both by sharing how I felt doing it and what I learned, but also showing you lovely people some cool data collected about the games I've reviewed. This video will be split in two. The first half a reflection about this activity, what I learned and what I would recommend you to do, and the second part the juicy statistics. But first things first, roll the intro. The first question that might come to mind to somebody that wrote 155 reviews in 155 days is, was it worth it? And the answer to that would be yes, it was. There is something fascinating in knowing that I reviewed so many games, virtually all games I've played on my PC since I opened my Steam account on the 8th of November 2012. I think I was in middle school. I find truly epic the fact that when I open my Steam account, I see that big number next to the word review, achieving a milestone that few share. And mind you, do not underestimate the length of 100 words. Sure, it is not as lengthy as a video review of mine, but every paragraph has enough substance to make a review complete and useful, an effort that goes beyond a single sentence or, God forbid, grade. If I were to take one of these paragraphs and turn it into a short video, perhaps adapting a bit the intro and the ending, it would come out to be a 30-40 second reel, short videos you would probably see on TikTok or Instagram. I do not plan to do that, but the fact that every review has enough substance to be a script makes me feel quite confident I did a good job. Should I have written reviews longer than 100 words? After writing so many, I would say maybe, it depends on the game. Some big titles definitely could have benefited for a long essay, especially my favorite games such as Yakuza 0, Portal 2 and Civilization 5. Even some games I have more mixed feeling about would have benefited from a long lengthy explanation on why I felt that way when playing. On the other hand, considering I had to write one review a day for many months, plus the fact many games I own are short indie adventures, I do not regret choosing this round number. 100 just feels right. A bigger number could have made me quit this challenge. Speaking of, was this constant review writing challenging? I would say yes, but not for the reason you're probably thinking. Writing a single 100-word review takes me on average 10 minutes, 20 max, making it daily writing not challenging by itself. What was more challenging was to review every game in my library, including games I've played 3, 5, 10 years ago, titles that I did not touch for literally a decade. Sure, for some classics like Fallout New Vegas, I had no issue talking about the game even 8 years after completion, since I adored it and recall it well. On the other hand, reviewing a game such as Serious Sam 3, last played in 2017, was way more challenging. The title wasn't half bad, but I barely remembered it, thus reviewing it felt a bit arbitrary. Also, I must confess that the title of the video is a bit misleading. I do have more than 155 games in my Steam library, but that includes tons of games that are in my backlog, games I did not finish, games that were given out for free that I will probably never touch, and in some rare cases, games divided into multiple episodes. Of course, I did not review games I did not complete. Doing so would have been dishonest, and quite frankly, not fun to do. Fun fact, the listed games can still be reviewed on Steam. Not much of a purpose, I suppose, but it is possible. That's where I found out that I had a great quantity of games that are delisted on the platform, but I already made a video addressing that topic. Going back to the reviews themselves, I believe the best thing to do in general is to review games some days after completing them, maybe after some months, rather than to review a whole library years after it started growing. Still, it did work out well at the end, and I managed to review all the games that I have completed, games that at last have a public Blue Fox Zone seal of approval. I cannot highlight it enough, but I do feel proud for building up such a lengthy and healthy library of reviews, and if anything, I'm saddened that many of the games I've played are not on Steam, games I did not review. Would I recommend reviewing all games in one's library? Should you do it? In my opinion, it is something worth considering doing, yes. This experiment helped me reflect on all the gaming experiences I had in my life so far, and since these reviews are public, my friends on Steam can already see if I enjoyed a game they are planning to purchase. It is a way to mark your opinion on a game you have completed, a way to say to the world, look, not only I played Halo 2, but I even left a review to share my 2 cents. This exercise is especially very useful for indie games that otherwise would get less exposure. A game like Jody vs Lone Wolf definitely deserves more publicity than 500 reviews. It goes without saying that a full video review for each and every individual game would have a greater positive effect. I can prove the video Dandos and I made on Logivers 2 pushed more people to try the game out, but even a small written review can give that extra bit of help to unknown gems. One small downside to writing so many reviews is that they sorta do start to look alike after a while. The game is fun to play is a sentence I cannot rewrite 155 times differently. Not that individual review is cliché, mind you, but the similarities between paragraphs are inevitable when writing so many, and it can make the whole process feel a tad repetitive. While of course I did not use any silly chatbot to write any review, since that would kinda defeat the point of the experience, I do admit that some reviews feel less inspired than others. We have dived quite a bit into the reflections, and who knows, perhaps I convince you to do the same. So let us have more fun with this second half of the video and take a look at some interesting data. What games have I played on Steam? Let us find out. At the time of recording, I reviewed 155 entries. Virtually all games I've played and finished on Steam. I did not review DLCs or different episodes of the same game, as well as games I've never completed for obvious reasons. Starting off with the most appropriate stat, the like and dislike ratio of the games I've reviewed. Out of 155 games, I recommended 146 and did not recommend 9, giving us an almost perfect 19 out of 20 ratio, or 95%. I like most games I've played, big surprise, I know, though the binary system Steam has means I cannot distinguish between games I barely liked, I adore, and the ones I consider masterpieces. I am fine with not having a great system, but I do like Netflix's third option of the double thumbs up, one that allows to highlight the best of the best. If Steam would have such an option, my ratio would probably have some more insight. Going quickly to the developers, I found out that, excluding indie titles that make up 56 games, 99 had a publisher, and Sega was clearly the winner in this category. No surprise there either, since I played nearly all of the Yakuza games, as well as so many Sonic games, Total War, Valkyria Chronicles, Dreamcast titles, all on Steam. Square Enix, 2K, EA, and of course Valve also make the cut, publishing various titles I enjoyed. Of course, this experiment of mine was only conducted on Steam, meaning that all games played on consoles or other digital stores are big absentees from these statistics, something you will notice with all the rest of the data collected. I figured that publishers such as Nintendo and Ubisoft would have also been in the top 5. Speaking of international companies, where are my Steam games developed? In what countries? Luckily for me, I also recorded this characteristic for every game, even placing small flags on my spreadsheet because I do enjoy the aesthetics. I never make an Excel that does not look beautiful. First place goes to the United States of America with 44 games developed, and second to Japan with 23. The two biggest economies of video games in the world make up the first two positions. I'm starting to notice a pattern. Anyways, the United Kingdom, Sweden and Canada occupy the 3rd, 4th and 5th place on this list. While making this spreadsheet, I found out that Google does have an automatic mapping tool to showcase this sort of data, so take a look at the global map, the zoomed in European map, and for my American friends, I even made a special map showcasing the various US states where the games I've reviewed were developed. You might be surprised to see Italy so high up in the list, and if you know my channel, well, you shouldn't be that stunned. In the recent past, I bought and brought to the channel various Italian-made games, so of course my library had this outlier nation. But hey, this is my experiment with my very biased set of data. Also, France is fairly low because of Ubisoft Connect. Speaking of biased data, the year of release of games was also not a mystery to me, with most games reviewed being released between 2010 and 2018. I bought a high-spec PC with a GTX 970 in 2015, 10 years ago, that I only recently replaced, meaning that I mostly played games either that came before or in the 5-year series after that computer, before games started to become too heavy to run. At last there is genre, where FPS and action adventures dominate this category. I struggled to categorize some games that were a mix between genres, but overall the result did not surprise me that much, even if again, my Nintendo library would definitely tell a different story. There is other data such as the franchises and the hours of play, that I will of course put on screen, but I think there's not much to discuss, apart from the fact that I'm a huge Yakuza fan, a fact I will repeat till the end of time. Jokes aside, this was an insight on the games I play. I will not list all games I reviewed, because, well, that would be a long list, but keep in mind that the reviews themselves are public on Steam if you are curious to read them out. So there you have them, all games I reviewed on Steam in the past 155 days. I thought it would have taken insane dedication to bring this objective to fruition, yet by spreading the reviews around by writing one every day, I found out that it was actually quite doable. Did I enjoy doing this? Yes, though it took me a while to achieve. In the future, I would still like to eventually review many past games I played on consoles and other stores. One day I will also tackle those games, and maybe the DLCs, but not today. 155 reviews already took me quite some time, and I definitely need a break. If you made it this far, I wanted to thank you one too many Steam review times for watching today's video. Making this video was not hard per se, but the effort I went back into reviewing so many games is something to be applauded. Did I inspire you to do something similar? I wish you all a wonderful day. And until next time, arrivederci.